Joining us now from California is Stephan Haggard. He's the director of the Korea Pacific program at the University of California, San Diego. Welcome back to the show. So, let's start with General Mattis on his trip there to the Korean Peninsula. He is stressing diplomacy, not war. So how important is this visit ahead of Trump's visit to Asia in a couple of weeks?
I think it's a very important signal, actually. Secretary Tillerson has been the lead player in outlining U.S. strategy on this issue, and he's emphasized the importance of increasing sanctions on North Korea and the deterrent, but he's also stressed the significance of negotiations, which is also a policy that China, of course, has supported. And so the fact that the Secretary of Defense is saying that negotiations are important, I think is an important statement.
Let's look at the DPRK right now and what may be going on behind the scenes there. A government official warning the world to take its threat of testing a hydrogen bomb very seriously. What do you make of where they're coming from and how they're perhaps looking at this visit by Mattis?
Well, I don't think the visit itself, per se, is likely to be a trigger of anything new on the North Korean side. I mean, the main thing that's happened, of course, is that the sixth nuclear test of 2 months ago now did appear to be a boosted weapon. The yield of that test was significantly larger than the earlier ones. And so I don't think that this is a news statement. It's just saying that that capability is there and the United States needs to deal with it.
We know that the DPRK recently congratulated China after the conclusion of its 19th Party Congress. Do you think that they're perhaps trying to get back in China's good graces?
Well, I think they should be doing that, certainly. The congratulatory message is not unusual, of course, but I think everyone knows that relations between China and North Korea have been pretty rocky recently because Beijing is quite worried about the fact that the pursuit of the missile and nuclear program is drawing the U.S., Japan, and Korea more tightly together as an alliance, and is also leading to defensive actions like the deployment of THAAD, which I personally think are quite justified, but they have sparked concern in China, of course. So I think that with sanctions looming large, North Korea is probably trying to make sure that China is a backup.
And looking ahead, a couple of weeks from now, Trump's visit to Asia, we have the APEC, ASEAN summits, all of those countries in the region talking about the DPRK. What would you consider a good outcome?
I don't think that North Korea will be high on the summit agenda directly, but I think the thing to watch for you and your viewers is whether the president really engages fully with the East Asia Summit. Part of his strategy on this trip is to lay out a new vision for what Americans are now calling the Indo-Pacific, and he's used that term as well. And India is a member of the East Asian Summit, as well as China, and it would seem strange if he didn't go to that event at the same time that he's outlining an Indo-Pacific strategy. So I think it is partly a trip designed to show that the U.S. remains committed to Asia generally, as well as trying to solve particular problems like North Korea.
All right, Stephan Haggard in California, thank you for joining us.